Welcome back, everybody, as we get towards our final tiebreaker here in the PS4 League qualifiers. That's right, we don't need to get any more games. It's pretty simple. The Xbox rejects, they're in. They're in the PS4 League, and the winner of this game will join them out of Group A, and we'll see who that's going to be between Team Xist and the 5 Deadly Sins. Aggro joined by Anatoly yet again. And Anatoly, both of these two teams looked pretty good up against the Xbox rejects, just couldn't quite put it together.
And honestly, this is so much epic action already to kick off the PlayStation qualifiers. The fact that we are having qualifier breakout, tiebreakers rather, is impressive to see how close these teams already are. So to take this kind of teamship into the actual league is going to be impressive to see how they'll transition, whoever wins this one.
Excited to see it, so let's get right into it. The 5 Deadly Sins up against Team Xist. FDS on the first pick this time around. They had a couple strange selections last game. A Hell Solo, a Bakasura Jungle, and Finch and Taco talks about it during picks and bans. And a best of one where you don't let another team adjust to you. I think that could really work out for them.
Whatever works towards your own identity. And there's a lot of damage, a lot of sustain if you can get off to that early game lead. But that one little snipe with the Gold Fury probably got into their head a little bit. Couldn't find the snowball that they wanted.
A huge play there by Covey, and it ends up putting them through into the PS4 League. But they'll figure out who their opponents will be during that league during this game right here. No Giannis this time around. Xist will ban it out themselves. And Zhong, first time we're going to get a chance to see him today, has been banned pretty much permanently so far through today. Zhong, just one of those characters that you could put him in, you could put him solo, and he has an opportunity to just do insane things anytime.
But there's a good way to lock him down, and that's with a Kumbhakarna. During that ultimate, you just drop the epic uppercut, eliminate some of his ghosts from actually being impactful. Same idea goes for the Naja, just take him up in the sky.
Right, and then the Nemesis, always thought of as the counter pick to Zhong, can strip away a lot of those protections. You slow him down a lot. He doesn't have any CC immunity in that kit. But Nemesis is kind of on the downtrend right now, whereas Zhong's on the up and up. Do you think the Nemesis is still worth picking this early on?
I think maybe not this early on. There's so many good junglers that can really dive the Zhong anyway. But if you're looking at stripping away some power, the Nemesis passive will certainly do that. I like the idea of maybe pairing this up with an Isis, but Thoth is going to be the selection. It has enough range to avoid a lot of those ghosts.
He does, and can keep it a safe distance, though his poke damage not quite as good against Zhong when he's able to heal up and have those protections in hand, so he doesn't take as much damage in the first place. Though Thoth, his passive does give him free pen to shoot through those protections.
Helps.
So excited to see how that one's going to go. Khepri banned by Xist, whereas Xbalanque banned on the other side. Kumbhakarna was banned away from Xist in Game 1 of today's tiebreakers up against the Xbox reject. So it doesn't surprise me that even though it is good here against the Zhong, they decided to go for it. I imagine that this is something they play quite a bit of.
Epic uppercut into Final Judgment. That's a lot of follow-up damage. Just highly up there. Maybe only Cuckoo Clan can really contest that, considering that Thoth has to take some couple of seconds to charge that up fully. Hades, though, the selection, and there needs to be that secondary beads burner. You can't only rely on Kumbhakarna to do it.
Batz has been seen in every game so far today, though this time it will not be the jungler for the Xbox rejects piloting it. He's already qualified through, but Batz continues to show up. I think this Hades pick is actually very smart. Zhong and Aphrodite, two gods that could go solo or mid. Either one of those isn't getting out of your Pillar of Agony. You can pressure the lane A-OK. The Neith selection does worry me a little bit, but Xist does have a lot of late game already between the Nem and the Thoth that throwing some early game in that dual lane isn't a horrible idea. I kind of like what Xist came out with here.
The globals are going to be important to try to look for some of these ganks onto the Zhong or the Aphrodite. There could be a lot of solo lane pressure with some of that World Weaver action.
That's true. Watch out for that World Weaver in the solo lane, whoever is heading over there. I imagine it's probably Aphrodite. She's a little bit more traditional in that solo lane these days, but Zhong has also seen quite a bit of play there. Well, yes, we'll just have to wait and see. So we should be getting the game pretty soon here between the 5 Deadly Syndromes and Team Xist. Again, winner of this game goes through to the PS4 League. And it will be Zhong in the mid lane for PlaysAnarchy. And even though the 5 Deadly Sins lost that last game up against the Xbox rejects, Anarchy was making, well, plays in the mid lane with the Scylla. So, I mean, give your first pick to the guy who was making the majority of the action happen on your side in the last game, I think makes a lot of sense.
Rushing the Warlock staff even in his build, going for the tier 2 right off the bat. The way Zhong's kit works is you gain a lot of protection, so why not pair that up with some more effective health? out of all that extra maximum health, could survive a little bit better from some of the potential ultimates out of Cbeaarr.
Beaudilla was the one who we were spending quite a bit of time talking about in Team Xist's first game today. And now he's on the Hades, so pick that you don't see that much of in the solo lane these days, but it's starting to come back a little bit with some recent buffs to the character. Where do you think Hades ranks among solo laners? Is this sort of matchup you'd want to play him into?
I think there's very few matchups he doesn't get favored in, or at least in the early phases. As long as you're comfortable in terms of trading out your own basic attack on the enemy god to pull the minions together versus taking some damage from the minions, then you should be A-okay at stacking the wave up, being able to almost full clear at level 1 and start transitioning to get that level 2 in the blue buff first if your jungler tends to go that way, and look for the lane dominance, especially once you get 2 points in your Devour Souls.
Well, Beaudilla's gone for the tiny trinket right away as PlaysAnarchy in some serious trouble now, stunned out by major stacks, but DeciNerd forced to jump away. Legit will jump after him, but that'll basically end the aggression in the mid lane for the moment. Tiny trinket start for Hades. Popular in the mid lane, not so popular in solo though.
No, but Bancroft's talent transitions pretty well. You want to be able to do more damage during the Pillar of Agony as you're a sitting duck, and that could be a good idea for Beaudilla. He doesn't necessarily need that much protections or health against the Aphrodite. She doesn't really do that much damage until she maxes out her back off and dove combination, where she'll start winning those trades. And so Beaudilla needs to keep that in the back of his mind, that once he's hitting that level 12, if he doesn't have magical defense by then, he's going to be in for a world of hurt.
Could potentially be the case, though Legit can also bring some hurt his own way by ganking that solo lane, but you can kind of use Pillar of Agony as a temporary beads in response to Fear No Evil and then immediately cancel it and jump away. Things like that could get Beaudilla out of danger. Anytime I see a Hades, I just feel like it's going to be the pick one way or the other that changes the course of the game. It's either going to be horrible and set the other team up for an easy victory, or be the catalyst for his own team's success.
It's also about holding on to your dashes if you don't know where the enemy jungler is. But the fact that Hunbat's only sitting level 3, this Hades should have no fear in the world. Using his Devour Souls to sustain and the Warrior's Blessing, sitting on 2 health pots, puts him in a good position.
Legit secures the blue buff in time, but SupremeHelp is in some supreme trouble, I would think, but no, instead, 5 Deadly Syndromes pushing forward. Beaudilla gonna blink away.
He was fine. Yeah. Without Fear No Evil, Hades has nothing to realistically fear, but the fact that the Sunbats is here with the Aphrodite linked in gives a lot of presence.
Ooh, DeciNerd takes a ton of damage, but Beau gets his own blue buff and will escape into the lane. DeciNerd gets a chance to get a free back off, but loses his XP Harpies as a result. So Legit's early back, even though he backed a little bit earlier than he probably would have wanted, only getting boots 1, ends up paying off because he's nice and healthy for that little skirmish on the right side.
And now Legit, after securing those back camps, goes to the right mids, another neutral objective going the way of 5 Deadly Sins, going back to the mid wave to share that experience, and has his own back camps that respawn every minute, so getting the better end of the experience per minute ever so slightly.
Certainly should put him to level 5 before DeciNerd will get access to that Divine Judgment, but on the other end of the coin, Xist has a couple members who were pretty far ahead in XP of their own right, Beaudilla being one of them, sitting at level 6, the only member of anyone who hit level 6, except for Major Stacks, who's in the mid lane, also has an XP lead over PlaysAnarchy thus far.
Where you have an advantage in one, you can easily be staggering in the other. Sharing the experience in the waves, not too shabby, but when you're dealing with the mid-wave matchup of Thoth versus the Zhong, getting to that mid-game form as a mage, so incredibly important to make the difference in the team fights.
Beaudilla boxing out with SupremeHelp. This is going to be a lane that you shouldn't see too much kill potential, at least until Beaudilla backs and gets some serious power online. Then if SupremeHelp finds himself in the middle of a minion wave, could spell trouble for him, but imagine that he'll be playing it safe. And that's what you're doing as Aphrodite, just waiting until the late game happens.
Aphrodite would have to severely put herself out of position to fall to a Hades, whereas Hades needs to be more mindful in between the waves where there's nothing to really heal from the Devour Souls. A lonely Aphrodite is not enough to top yourself off versus the burst damage that Aphro can provide. And that's why I was thinking about that level 12, 13, 14 marker where back off and doves are maxed out. A couple items online for Aphrodite to turn the tides in our favor.
Cbeaarr and Strategic a bit behind their dual lane counterparts of MysteriousDylan and imVultie, both members of the 5 Deadly Sins dual lane, sitting at level 5, but Cbeaarr and Strategic, I imagine, will ding over once they clear that wave that was fed to them on the left, and indeed they will. So World Weaver's online now, and that's one way that they could set up a kill for Beaudilla. SupremeHelp, if he uses his ultimate to get out of the stun from the World Weaver, could end up falling victim to that Pillar of Agony.
Maybe another idea of the Neith pick was anywhere MysteriousDylan goes, the World Weaver will follow him, even through some of the damage mitigation. If he lands in front of the other 5 Deadly Sin members, that could also be a free kill, considering that there's not that much mobility for Dylan quite yet as he rushed those Devil Gloves, avoiding boots for the moment.
Bo meets up with Legit in his jungle. Here comes the World Weaver. Stun is good, but beads were better from Legit, and that gets him up and over the wall and to safety in the mid lane. But World Weaver for beads is an A-OK trade every day of the week, but it's up to Cbeaarr now to utilize that cooldown timer a little bit better than we've seen some players do in the past, where you can't let them get their beads back up. It should be World Weaver, as soon as it's up, let's look for Hunbats again.
Also, if Strategic makes those rotations, one Mez into Epic Uppercut, into Final Judgment, I don't think Legit is going to have enough of a health pool to really survive that combo.
Has some 10% CDR now, does Cbeaarr, but that won't affect his ultimate cooldown since he bought it after the ability started ticking back down. Beaudilla did go for that early Bancroft's Talon, so not a lot of mobility for the Hades, really relying on the blink that he picked up, but could be enough to get the job done.
It's a good baiting tactic to go for Bancrofts, encouraging a few ganks into that solo lane. Legit could make his presence felt, but if he's going to commit to the Hades, he has to make sure that he's not within that Pillar of Agony range. And without the beads, it's going to be less likely that for the next 90 seconds, we'll see the Hunbats make a statement in the solo lane, not wanting to take all that damage. And without protections or health, Beaudilla is relying more on the lifesteal to top himself off.
Yeah, I mean, Pillar of Agony gives you just an absurd amount of physical protection whenever you use it. Once you max it out, it's 100 physical protection.
It's pretty good.
For free at level 20.
It's pretty good. And that's a mage.
That's a mage. Used to be a Guardian. Still kind of feels Guardian-esque.
Yeah, it definitely feels Guardian-esque.
But certainly still a mage at this point. Beaudilla has his boots 2 already done. Level 1, the early Pillar of Agony, not quite as many physical protections
like 60
as 100, but it is 60. Yep, once it's rank 1, then up 10 per rank after that. So 60 physical protections at level 5, or at this point level 9, is still enough to really save your life in a lot of situations.
And just being like the Swiss Army knife, also having the penetration, as long as you have the blight applied to them, between 10 at first rank all the way up to 30. Getting double the bonus effect of a Void Stone, not too shabby to make a difference in some of these team fights when you're hoping that Stacks is going to be in cahoots with your ultimate timer.
No kills quite yet between Xist and the 5 Deadly Sins, but no surprise, really. Both these teams understanding there's quite a bit on the line for these squads. Win and you're in at this point. Into the sky goes PlaysAnarchy, beads and ultimate. He's pushing forward, looking for major stacks, but it's Strategic who's delivered back to him right away. This Kumbhakarna getting low. MysteriousDylan even going to get involved, and that will bring down Strategic. Dylan gets the kill for his ultimate rotation. Is Legit coming in now, looking for major stacks in the mid lane. Caught his dash, but didn't have any extra follow-up damage. Now Legit is caught. Big Pillar of Agony. imVultie will fall. SupremeHelp still okay. DeciNerd may have some regrets about his ultimate target there. If that ultimate goes onto the Aphrodite, that could have been a double for Beaudilla.
Definitely true there, but honestly, I like the fact that imVultie was the sacrificial lamb. When you're training out him for another support, like, that's what you really want to do. So Aphrodite's choosing Legit, even though the Purification Beats was still available. I don't necessarily mind that play. You're prioritizing very specific targets as an Aphrodite, and I'm always going to be looking on my jungle over my support.
DeciNerd in the mid lane, but Anarchy's healthy enough that shouldn't need to worry, and indeed he does not. He'll be able to waddle back to base and pick himself up some finished off booties that will have enough gold. And indeed he does. Goes for the penetration boots and starts working towards some more penetration. And what? Hey, Zhong has a million options. I mean, it could be the Spear of the Magus, could be Obsidian Shard, Divine Ruin, unlikely here, though he did get it last game in a situation where I didn't think it was really warranted. Maybe he will use it in response to the Hades extra healing that he's getting from the Bancroft's Talon. What I'm saying is he's got options now with that magic focus.
Never a bad thing to have several options in a tree that has 4 different branches from that tier 1 version. And more than likely, I would expect Spear of the Magus, considering how easy it is to stack it up. You card 1 individual. That's 5 free stacks already of that Spear of Magus, which will amplify his ulti even further, which will allow SupremeHelp to still do a lot of damage in his own right. And Aphrodite, even with a hybrid damage / defensive build, you're gonna see the difference.
I mean, Backoff was what, 80% scaling or something like that? It's
up there.
Insanely high on that ability. Indeed, it is 80%. Lovebird scales pretty well. That's above 60%, I believe, about 65% on the damage. So you get quite a bit from the damage. Pyromancer getting low, and here's a huge ultimate from Beaudilla. Pillar of Agony locking in 3. Here comes World Weaver. That'll get intercepted. No, it doesn't. imVultie does fall as now DeciNerd shows up and immediately decimates PlaysAnarchy. Beaudilla just trying to buy some time. Blink
jukes
is good as well, and now he might be able to get back and heal off this XP camp. He's still in trouble, don't get me wrong.
It's a bait.
But he's still alive.
It's all a bait because left side, they're doing the Gold Fury. In the meantime, Beaudilla will ultimately fall to the chase, but the rest of his teammates getting the Gold Fury. Beaudilla trying to run to his jungler. DeciNerd not there, but Dylan stops it, taking out Cbeaarr.
No
Deadly Sins
way.
just stole the Gold Fury.
They rip it away. Now Dylan could be getting a double here, and indeed he will do just that. Dylan shows up.
Wow.
And puts an end to the shenanigans of Team Xist on the left-hand side. A double kill and stripping away the Gold Fury. That's brutal.
That's very unfortunate. Neith sitting at level 11 doesn't have the lifesteal with her build going Transcendence. Has the damage, all the damage in the world, but between level 11 Neith, about the same level Thoth, who is going to tank that Gold Fury? You need to kind of time your kiting of the objective perfectly to go back and forth. But Cbeaarr was already tanking it for long enough before Major Stacks already got there. A good rotation from Dylan on the right side with his global, and then still having the presence of mind, realizing that neither Stacks or Cbeaarr was remaining in that team fight, so he smelled something on the opposite side.
That's something that is not really that prevalent in ranked play. Even the high levels, you'll see in competitive play, 2 ranged characters can pass the Gold Fury back and forth without taking any damage at all. Pretty easily, honestly,
Fair.
once you learn how to do it. But doesn't end up happening there. If Major Stacks and Cbeaarr do it that way, maybe they don't lose the objective and their lives. But already in the past, as Fear No Evil came out from legit in the mid lane, but didn't really get a whole lot. Major Stacks held onto the bead. Strategic holds onto the ultimate. And so Fear No Evil and Stygian Torment now down.
A little out of range was imVultie to follow up with that Stygian Torment. Normally you would want the Stygian Torment to come out first, and then Fear No Evil would be the secondary CC chain to follow up, or at least be the guaranteed beads burner, but not in that case. Still dealing a decent amount of poke damage with the Lovebirds, but that Nemesis shield punishing out legit.
Love that DeciNerd goes straight for the Brawler's beat stick right away, making sure that he gets the anti-heal in time. Also relevant against Zhong, who's going to be healing quite a bit in that mid lane. I think that's really smart. And Major Stack should be going straight for a Divine Ruin with his 3rd item slot. I can't imagine that anything else is really worth his time when you've got an Aphrodite and a Zhong on the other side.
Definitely going to be something to keep in mind of as the game progresses. A lot of aggression from Strategic's build, going for Stone of Binding yet again, but this time imVultie going for the Gauntlet of Thebes. Team fighting is a big impact in Smite, and there's all these timings and power spike windows. Deadly Sins, with this build, they're screaming that they want to avoid some of these early game team fights, but same can't be said for Xist at this state of the game.
No, it's not just the Gauntlet of Thebes, but the Warlock staff as well from Anarchy that says that they want to play it a little bit slower in the early stages, but it's getting close to the point where they're ready to go. I mean, ready to fight. I mean, Gauntlet of Thebes is nearly done. A wave and a half will be enough for imVultie. A wave and a jungle camp will be enough to finish off his Thieves stacks now at this point. 70 stacks for PlaysAnarchy is enough to feel like you can be relevant in team fights at this point. So already the weakest part of the Deadly Sins game should be done for them.
Very close. About 30 more seconds for at least imVultie to make that difference happen. We still need a couple more waves, about 5 more waves for Anarchy. About 2.5 more minutes on his time. But it will be the Divine Ruin for the Zhong. A little worried about some of the sustain, as Aussie's been the next lifesteal of choice out of the Cbeaarr Neith, who's trying to make some of the plays happen in the PvE category, but PvP going in favor of Dylan, with that Living Nightmare heavily being able to out-rotate the Neith.
Very much so up until now, but Cbeaarr getting a pretty good edge in that boxing little exchange, as Legit has come over, but DeciNerd is here as well, and I don't think the Sins know that DeciNerd is here, but imVultie comes around the back. DeciNerd puts great damage onto Legit very early on. Beads come out, and Worldweaver will take care of it. That was basically all done, though, by DeciNerd on the Nemesis. Maybe not as strong as she once was, but still can take 1v1s with the best of them.
Spotted out from the backhand side. A good little trap DeciNerd set up, allowing Legit to go deeper into the purple buff instead of trying to fight him where he could still retreat in that path.
Beaudilla's made his rotation in the mid lane alongside SupremeHelp. Cursed Onk used by Beaudilla, but then was knocked back by back off right as he was trying to use the ultimate. By the time he got a chance to use it, SupremeHelp was out of range. So not only is the ultimate down, but the relic of the Cursed Onk on cooldown now for Beaudilla.
There's also a small window where if you have enough movement speed, you can get away from the Hades ultimate if you're at the very tail end and the tip of it before the Vortex forces you to continue to get pulled closer and closer to that Pillar of Agony. And SupremeHelp, as long as you're linked into somebody, granting yourself and your allied link that extra mobility, could be the difference of escaping the tip of the pillar.
A couple sprints as well. I mean, SupremeHelp used his there alongside his shell. Sprint still available for imVultie that can help that exact sort of situation. One of the reasons why Hades doesn't see a whole lot of pro play is there are ways to get up and out of that Hades ultimate pretty easily, but Beaudilla selected this pretty late in the draft, so there aren't a lot of leaps on the other side, at least for the two members they're most worried about, and Aphrodite and Zhong. They're going to be stuck in that Pillar of Agony should Beaudilla put himself in the right spot.
And if Dylan is right next to a wall, he can easily just dash right on through. And he can even use that Living Nightmare just to hover into the sky and avoiding the damage. Doesn't always have to land and choose a target. Same idea with Dodgy, where that wants to avoid combat and then use that blink to escape upon landing.
Anarchy rooted. Cut up a little bit by DeciNerd, but there's the tanky Zhong that you can expect. Early Winged Blade here from DeciNerd, trying to get himself some immunity against the many slows on the other side. I like this pickup here, Tully. I mean, Zhong slows are just too potent to ignore.
You got to be able to catch those targets, I agree. So Winged Blade will accomplish this. Spear No Evil in the back. DeciNerd first to dash away. Epic uppercut actually came after the final judgment. A lot of damage from Major Stacks, but he gets taken out by Dylan.
Dylan finally turns around and finds the kill as Dylan buying some time in that Into Darkness. Root off the mark for the ADC, but on the mark for the support. Undying Love, good enough to save Dylan, but here comes DeciNerd around the back. Slice and Dice should be enough to do it, and one auto added in will be enough. Now imVultie in some serious trouble. Unravel not enough. Blink forward by Legit, but overhead smash just short of the damage necessary. SupremeHelp isolated out of mana, and it's a double kill for Cbeaarr on the Neith. 4-1-1 now for Team Xist's Hunter, as this time it could be Xist securing a Gold Fury.
Most of those kills going in the way of that last team fight. Great sacrifice by Xist, finding this Gold Fury now, as Major Stacks was the only victim, putting himself in position to take out Anarchy. Even with Divine Ruin, it just wasn't enough to stop Beaudilla from granting himself so much health return. Strategic did go into the sleepy passive, but the team fight was too chaotic for the rest of the order side to confirm the Kumbhakarna kill.
One of those situations where I feel like the 5 Deadly Sins could have just stuck on Gold Fury. I mean, the Fear No Evil was great to zone members away.
True.
Final Judgment's there and scary, but you can CC major stacks. I mean, Dylan was doing plenty of damage to the objective. I don't know. I feel like that could have been a Gold Fury the Order side's way, even if the team fight doesn't go as well.
The problem for Deadly Sins was they had to keep committing a little too far north, closer to the jungle of Xist. Speaking of which, a defensive ultimate yet again legit, forced to back on out. But DeciNerd wasn't interested in chasing. He just wanted to counter Sentry Ward.
I love the patience there from DeciNerd. Doesn't even use the beads, just kind of holds on to him, takes the whole ultimate, and doesn't really worry about it too much. In fact, it's legit who uses his purification beads.
Missed stun, but the Neith ultimate right on top.
Wow, that was great CC chain onto PlaysAnarchy, who was all alone. Now imVultie locked in from the Pillar of Agony. That sets him up for DeciNerd. And now Dylan has been served up beautifully by Strategic. Legit returns, but no ultimate for him, no beads, no Dylan. He's gone. Major Stacks gets another kill for himself. Xist working together beautifully as one unit right now.
SupremeHelp just wasn't in position to find any sort of help as a tier 1 tower falls out of Deadly Sins, granting Xist another 500 gold. And it was Xist that couldn't find that first Gold Fury, but they don't mind that too much with what's happening in the past minute.
Oh, blink forward from Legit. Doesn't have his ultimate quite yet. Just trying to buy some time. DeciNerd gets the shell and the shield, and he'll heal up pretty significantly, but Xist is buying time, or losing time rather, as Legit finally gets his ultimate back up and shuts down DeciNerd. Major Stacks on the run. Sacred Monkey not there, but a great Undying Love from SupremeHelp extends the life of his jungler, though not long enough. Major Stacks turns around and puts him down, but no Portal Demon for Team Xist. Legit and SupremeHelp do the job.
Doing a great job in a 2-on-4, taking out one, stopping the objective, allowing Dylan to go on in, forcing the Aegis out of Cbeaarr, gets the last basic attack, needs to avoid the stun out of Major Stacks, uses the Aegis to buy himself some time, but here comes the Final Judgment.
Final Judgment is good, and Dylan does fall. Love the aggressiveness from him, though, because this buys his team enough time to get the Portal Demon that Xist wanted very badly. So Dylan puts down Cbeaarr. Both ADCs use both relics. Neither survive, but it ends up being 5 Deadly Sins objective.
Trying to make the plays happen. Deadly Sins are coming back into this one. Being down 3,000 gold, about 22.5 minutes in. Not the end of the world experience. A little bit more problematic for them, but most of that is probably onto the difference of these mid laners. Level 18 for Major Stacks is Thoth, which is where you really want to be when you're dealing with a Zhong. A
little surprised at the struggles of Anarchy so far, but it does make some sense. I mean, he played very, very well on the Scylla in the last game, and a lot of people would probably say, oh, well, Zhong is so much easier to play than Scylla because his abilities aren't as, you know, small. It doesn't take as much time. It's a lot of AoE and things of that nature. But it's two totally different play styles.
True.
As a mid laner, and it's not always easy to switch back and forth like that.
And even though Zhong has all this protection, Scylla can just go through a wall with the Sentinel, so you have to be mindful about that in your positioning. PlaysAnarchy can't get rooted by during the duration of his ultimate, so the likes of Kumbhakarna's root, Neith's root, not going to impact him a little too much as he's diving the backline if he gets sprinted.
Well, Cbeaarr has also gotten for some extra anti-heal options to shut down that from Anarchy and SupremeHelp. More so SupremeHelp, I'd say, than Anarchy. But both teams kind of taking it slow at this point. Xist has about a 3,000 gold lead, even with 5 Deadly Sins getting the last objective on the map being the Portal Demon. Both teams feel like they're just waiting until that Gold Fury respawns, which should be in about 30 seconds or so. But to me, totally this slow pace favors the 5 Deadly Sins. They've got the Afro.
Dylan having to go into the sky, but who is he going to land on? Just going to go right back down. Trying to survive, but DeciNerd messes up his second dash, trying to wait for Volatile to come right around the corner.
Missed the center of the slice and dice, though, and now it's DeciNerd who's in trouble. Brought back, though, does use the beads.
He was thinking about it. He was evaluating it. Didn't want to get pulled under that tier 2 tower and take about 2 to maybe even 3 basic attacks out of this late game Chernobog, sitting at level 19. Without the Nemesis shield procced, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
Final Judgment charged up, not fired yet. Undying Love was there from SupremeHelp. Even though the Final Judgment isn't used, that's the right call from SupremeHelp every time. I mean, you got to make sure that your jungler doesn't fall before he can get a chance to use one of the best team fights ults in the entire game.
And this could be go time now. Hades' ultimate is up without the Undying Love. You gotta focus her out.
Strategic, dead, just like that. Beaudilla gonna blink in, has the cursed Ankh and the ultimate, and SupremeHelp gets 1 kill, but he'll immediately fall in response. PlaysAnarchy putting in some solid damage with the Zhong ultimate, but not enough to find a kill. No sustain though for Team Xist, means that this damage is sticking until they back.
There's 2 more ultimates for Xist and none whatsoever for Deadly Sins. Good stun onto Anarchy. Gonna force out his Aegis. DeciNerd around the corner. He has Blink.
Blink could come up, but doesn't even need it for the moment. Now he'll get rooted in, brought down. Dylan doing solid damage, but the mid lane Zhong did fall. Cbeaarr could be next, but a better stun from Major Stacks. Beaudilla has returned as they lost the Chernobog for a moment. He gets pinged.
There he is.
And then almost brought down. Relic usage saves his life.
Good patience by Xist. Not going to commit to that one. But really unfortunate for DeciNerd. Maybe if he blinked to get a little bit closer and then look for the double dash on the escape, that would have been a clean kill onto Anarchy without too much trouble. But still, a 4-on-4 for at least the next 15 seconds. It's not clear as to who's going to go for this Gold Fury quite yet.
It really has been a big deal for the Major Stacks has gotten this far in the game without having a whole lot of pressure onto him. I mean, 5 and 2 has done serious player damage, top of the player damage charts, in fact. He's only getting better, as a Thoth. Gold Fury gone just like that. Xist able to sneak it away from the 5 Deadly Sins. Took a little bit too long to back to base and heal up, and that means that Xist get an even bigger lead, now nearing 5,000 gold, up and over 7,500 experience.
Things are looking a little slippery for Deadly Sins, that trying to get to that late game with Aphrodite in tow with Chernobog and Zhong, but sitting at about 4.5 items. Anarchy is making the plays happen, but it's just not really enough quite yet. All this damage over time is what DeciNerd's Nemesis thrives off of. It takes a little bit of CC to get that Nemesis shield off and prevent the heal.
For me, I just think that he slowed down his DPS so much by going for a Divine Ruin that I don't really think is necessary. If that's a Shaman's Ring, you know, maybe he builds the Spear of the Magus first and then can build Rod of Tahuti or something like that. He's got so much more damage. Would have been more expensive, but something to think about.
Blinking on to 3 in the backline. SupremeHelp gets a little bit of assistance with the shell. Stacks running away from legit. DeciNerd collapsing.
Oh, Beaudilla, another huge Pillar of Agony from him. MysteriousDylan getting very low. Beaudilla is as well. He'll escape that Stygian Torment. His dog will not bring him down today. He'll have to back to base most likely. No, Dylan is going to chase him down towards the mid lane as Major Stacks keeps going on the right-hand side. Dylan can't keep up with Beaudilla. He escaped. The 5 Deadly Sins don't really get a whole lot. Beau healing up can maybe even come back into this engagement.
Risky start on the Fire Giant Xist. They want more than just the one pick. DeciNerd sacrificing his own life. SupremeHelp avoids that epic uppercut. Fire Giant at 20% health. Anarchy trying to make the disengage happen. Legit needed to connect with that monkey bounce, but still forcing the rest of the Chaos side off the objective.
PlaysAnarchy has both his relics up, so he's in a pretty safe spot right now. Major Stacks still has his ultimate though, and that's a major deterrent to pushing forward, but Dylan has returned and he can easily do quite a bit of DPS to this Fire Giant. Cbeaarr roping around the backhand side now as Beaudilla putting some damage on to PlaysAnarchy.
No.
Anarchy gets put down as Cbeaarr finds SupremeHelp as well. Beaudilla brings down legit. Dylan CC chained into the ground. His relics were up but not used. 4 members dead now for the 5 Deadly Sins. Xist on fire, but imVultie's here.
imVultie is here, but not with the Stygian Torment quite yet. Needs a couple more seconds to get that back up. There's the Mez. In comes the Root. Trying to disengage, even against a lonely Cerberus. Xist don't have the exact timer on that ultimate, but they're playing around as if it's up just now, coming off cooldown.
But it was just the fact that Stacks had no mana at all. Cbeaarr's half HP. Not really an opportunity to guarantee that Fire Giant goes their way.
And no beats on Cbeaarr. So if he gets knocked up by that Stygian Torment, he's going to be getting a lot of damage on his way. And without Final Judgment there to secure it, this Fire Giant super risky. Both teams tried to roll the dice earlier on the Fire Giant, but this time Xist making sure that this play a little bit more favorable on their side.
Certainly so. Vultie's going to hang around, though, and MajorStax has that final judgment. The onus is on him to secure this ultimate. MysteriousDylan respawns and immediately uses that Living Nightmare. He's coming to try and assist. Fire Giant goes down for the Syndrome. Somehow Dylan able to steal that away. MajorStax just couldn't quite secure it. Now Strategic will fall. Absolutely brutal. Dylan again steals away an objective for his squad.
He's the hero that the deadly Syndromes need. Finding the Gold Fury steal, now the Fire Giant steal about 15 minutes later from that objective on the left side of the map. And with all 5 members with Fire Giant barreling down the mid lane, gets the tier 1, tier 2 aggro. This could be a middle Phoenix on top.
Yeah, I think it will be because DeciNerd and Strategic are still both dead. MajorStax doesn't have his ultimate. This could be a potential game ender here if too many members of Xist fall, and MajorStax will do just that by the hand of Legit. But another good Pillar of Agony. Stop me if you've heard that one before. Beaudilla's been getting them all game long, but this time he'll fall as soon as it ends. Mid Phoenix goes down, but Cbeaarr still up alongside Strategic. DeciNerd respawns. Legit will end up falling here most likely. DeciNerd can't kill with a Divine Judgment, but it does slow down the enemy jungler. It exists. Hold on, but man, does it feel close.
They saw blood in their eyes. There goes the blink, and there goes Anarchy's life. Trading out 3 members to secure themselves a middle Phoenix. I don't hate the play aggro, but it definitely didn't need to be done. It could have been cleaner to get the towers on the side after the guaranteed middle Phoenix using the Fear No Evil to force out MajorStax was good enough, but they wanted more. They wanted the kill, and they wanted the game-ending Titan push.
Yeah, it's just one of those where your eyes get big. You're just so like Fire Giant, you get some kills, mid Phoenix, let's get another one, but not paying attention to those respawn timers does ultimately come back to bite the Order side. Mid tier 2 falls in favor of Team Xist, but they still are on the back foot at this point. 2 members still up with Fire Giants, Dylan and MysteriousDylan, the dual lane from the Order side, and Xist out now to defend their mid Phoenix being down. Man, totally Xist was in control. It just one missed secure and the allowance of Dylan to get in there. It's not just the missed secure, it's that you got to drop DPS, you know, go for the kill, things like that. It's not all on MajorStax here, but you know, it certainly feels bad that Xist don't get that fire.
Both teams can definitely rewatch this game in its entirety to see what went wrong for themselves, because no matter who wins, there's been a little small mistakes on both sides where Dylan steals it with the Gold Fury on the left, steals it with the Fire Giant on the right, but both teams, before that 3rd Fire Giant attempt overall, both of those teams made mistakes by even pulling the Fire Giant in the first place when there was no real clear-cut advantage in doing so. And the 3rd one, it was Xist making a very calculated effort that only imVultie was in position to steal it. So that was a good zone from Strategic. Get him in the sky after the Mez. No way that the Doggo can steal it, but couldn't calculate the Living Nightmare steal potential.
Just one of those, if Stacks, Strategic, and Cbeaarr all stick to the back as soon as they win that team fight, when instead they kind of stuck around, maybe we can do fire here, 3v1. If they all back right away, they get back nice and healthy and can burn fire long before Dylan ever has a chance to be there. Again, something to think about as Strategic blinks forward. Onk, I believe, did connect, and SupremeHelp is going to need some. He will fall, but I don't love the use of Nemesis ult there. I think he was dead as it was, and Legit just going to keep him busy while the rest of the Syndromes head to the left Phoenix.
Dylan doing so much damage with the minions right there, canceling the back out of Beaudilla. Only Cbeaarr there, and this could be an end attempt.
Oh, they're going for it. Titan down to about half, looking to go towards the PS4 Pro League, but Xist comes back with strength, and MysteriousDylan's going to be forced back. Titan now nice and healthy. Cbeaarr is not. MysteriousDylan brought him down, and the turnaround from Dylan is really solid on the DeciNerd, but finally Anarchy falls. It Xist hold their Titan room. The 5 deadly sins went for it, but did not find it.
No, not at all. And the Titan being leashed back and forth, regenning ever so slightly, gets the left side Phoenix, a very valuable tool because that middle Phoenix is due to respawn momentarily, so there's still a weakness, and if there's ever a Phoenix you want to grab, it's going to be the dual lane side when the next Fire Giant respawns. Having to juggle defending that lane versus defending the Fire Giant makes it more difficult for Xist now.
Well, Fire Giant's coming up very shortly, and they've got some time before Fire Waves start pushing in on that left-hand side as their mid-Phoenix does respawn. Fire Giant coming down from the sky. And Dylan's on the map, and apparently anytime he's around an objective, it isn't quite safe. Relic situation not that good here from Xist. Cbeaarr's dead, but he won't have any relics when he spawns, but does have that World Weaver. Strategic this time, focusing out Dylan before the objective gets down, but it's still too early.
Too early. Fire Giant only at 5,500. It's hold on the DPS. It's go time on the team fight.
DeciNerd falls too legit, dashing in. Beaudilla does some good work. Pillar of Agony does catch imVultie, but Dylan gets to gobble him up with the standing still Hades. Fire Giant still here, and this will go to the 5 deadly syndromes pretty easily.
So even though DPS stopped from Xist on the Fire Giant, the problem was the fact that they were still in range of getting hit by the Fire Giant. No one stepped outside the circle to reset it, as there was just too much DPS from Xist. 5 deadly sins became the 6 deadly sins with the Fire Giant's help.
Now 5 members still pretty strong here, legit. He's the only one who's fairly low, and he can be healed up by SupremeHelp. Right side not even being messed with. 5 deadly syndromes trying to punch their ticket to the PS4 League. Strategic doing what he can, but Titan getting too low. Group A is set. Xbox rejects the 5 deadly syndromes come out of the North American Group A, and they will be in the PS4 Pro League this fall.
Unfortunate for Xist, not able to make it for this split, but there's always going to be the next one. I think that they have a lot to learn and improve upon. I think mechanically they're all there. I think that there needs to be a little bit more cohesion in terms of the late game objective calls.
Yeah, that's the exact sort of thing that happened with them in their game against Xbox Rejects, right? Where their early game was looking good, they were kind of in control, but it was still close. And then the late game team fights, they just couldn't, they can't seem to navigate those very well. And that's one of the things that takes the longest to really ramp up with as a team, because you don't always get to those late game team fights, you get less opportunities to practice it, but they ultimately end up falling here to the 5 deadly sins. Congratulations to them as they punch their ticket into the PS4 Pro League. Let's take a look at the standings. This was the tiebreakers. All these teams went 2-1 through the first iteration, or for their first 6 games. We did not broadcast those, instead electing to broadcast the most important games. We got the best of the best here. 4-1 for Xbox Rejects. They claim first place in Group A. If you want to check out Group B for North America, that will be Friday. So we take a look at the schedule. Tomorrow will be Group B for Europe.
Europe is going to be a lot of interesting stuff considering how Group A panned out yesterday. Going to see some interesting names as well. I'm excited to see some of these teams pan out.
Exactly, and Europe might be in a bit of a hangover tomorrow if things don't go particularly well for England, at least some of the English players. I imagine might be 1 or 2 Croatians who could be excited if things go their way. We'll have to wait and see. World Cup semifinal starting pretty soon. Let's talk about HRX, though, because that's also coming sooner than you might think. hi-rezexpo.com is the place to get your tickets November 16th through the 18th. Not just going to be Smite and Paladins there, but a bunch of excellent games at DreamHack Atlanta. It's an experience of its own right, and now that we're doing our Smite World Championship there, it's going to be even better. Make sure you get your tickets now. They are going pretty quick.
Don't forget to mark the date on the calendar because, like Aggro mentioned, it's sooner than you think. It's not your traditional first, second week of January. So if you're used to HRX over here at the Cobb, you got to make sure you adapt. Go to hi-rezexpo.com.
It'll be a little bit warmer, too, so it'll be a nice, you get to actually enjoy some southern weather instead of actually having it be cold during the World Championship, as it has been the last few years. Thank you very much for joining us today. Again, congratulations to Xbox Rejects and the 5 Deadly Syndromes. They move on to the PS4 Pro League. We'll determine the final 2 teams in Europe tomorrow as we start our broadcast at 11 a.m. We'll see you there. Thanks for watching. Go England.